Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Natasha. Today, I would like to present about our study, namely impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on energy conservation in Indonesia. The member of the study are Mr. Yosef Adicita as lecturer in Universitas Universal, Julian Syah, student of Universitas Universal, myself as student of Universitas Universal, and become a presenter for this presentation, and the last one is Mrs. Nurul Ulfa as lecturer in Polytechnic Negeri Batam. So, this is the outline of the topic that we will discuss. Start from introduction. After that, I will explain about methodology of our study. For result and discussion, there are two main points that I will explain. First, impact on a pandemic on Indonesia. And second, impact of the pandemic on the technology transition for energy conservation. And at the end, I will talk about summary, conclusion, and recommendation from our study, especially for the following study in the future. Okay, I will start from the background of our study. In March 2020, we faced something that unexpectedly, COVID-19 pandemic, and Indonesia announced the emergency status. The government made the policies that related to control and stop the pandemic, such as PSBB or community restricted, and because of that, many changes in all sectors including the habit. Outdoor activity was restricted for almost a year and enforced the remote activity. Because of that, we can say the possibility of the pandemic has directed humans to do energy conservation, and as we know, like energy conservation is a strategic action that the government must plan to survive in the future. From the background that I told before, so the main problem that we can find as the problem that we discussed and focus on the study are, first, the ratio of the need for electrical energy from conventional energy sources and RE in Indonesia before the pandemic and pandemic. Second, the impact of COVID-19 on technology transfer in the context of national energy conservation in Indonesia. Because these two problems are the primary key to analyze and look for the potential technology transfer from conventional energy to use to RE used during the pandemic period in the context of sustainable energy conservation in Indonesia. So, the objective of the study is to analyze the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on energy conservation in Indonesia. This study was limited to 2 points. First, this study was described the quantitative data obtained from various literature and other studies related to energy conservation and the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic in Indonesia. Second, and data that we needed are energy needs before the pandemic, current energy availability, energy demand projections, and energy supply projections after the COVID pandemic. The significance of the study are divided to main significance. Theoretically, provide information on the availability and demand for energy in Indonesia, both before the pandemic and during the pandemic. Practically, expected to be used in the classroom as materials of renewable energy courses. And besides that, we hope this study can be used for the general public to start determining steps to be willing to contribute to restoring the national energy sector from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And now, we talk about the methodology. The study is conducted through literature review on the result and discussion. It will be described about the data from the previous study with similar scope. The data contains historical data on energy consumption, gross domestic product or GDP, projection of energy needs and sources. The result of the study, first I would like to explain about the impact of pandemic on Indonesia's energy use. From the figure 1, as you can see at the slide, in the 1920-20 for the national energy demand, there will be decline even for all scenario. For OPT scenario or optimistic scenario, estimated to decline around 11% and 15.7% for the moderate or MOD scenario and 20.5% for the pessimistic PES scenario. And this is about energy demand for each sector. The data is about 2018 compared to 2020. For 2020, there are two main events, business as usual and restrict policy on March 2020 till now for several provinces Indonesia, especially in Jakarta and around Java Island. During the pandemic, almost all the activities in industrial subsectors were declining except household. These data are obtained from Pusat Pengkajian Industri Proses dan Energi. And this is the data for energy needs for each energy form. In 2018, the highest energy form that is demand from all sectors is fuel oil, including gasoline, diesel oil, fuel oil, kerosene, and aviation turbofuel or after. But in 2020, electricity and LPG demand grows as a result of the pandemic. Now, we talk about impact of the pandemic on energy supply. This is the projection of energy supply in 2018 till 2025. The energy supply is estimated increased by 2.7% per year for the BAU scenario. But during pandemic, the energy supply were declined 8.3% for the OPT scenario, 11.4% for the MOD scenario, 14.4% for the PES scenario. This is the data about comparison of the RE renewable energy scenario. This is the projection from 2018 till 2025 that we obtained from the research that conducted by Sugiono in 2020. He stated about during pandemic, RE are declined in 2020 to 2022 and back to normal in 2023. In 2020, the supply of RE decreased 9.9% till 15.3%. And in 2021, RE supply will continue to decline to 16.4% for PES scenario. And this is the last data for the impact of pandemic on Indonesia's energy use. This is the data about capacity of RE. The projection from 2018 to 2025 that the RE supply is still much smaller than the supply of fossil energy. The highest projection is smaller than 350 million BOE in 2025. The pandemic affects the renewable energy power plant's capacity plan. Now, I will talk about the impact of the pandemic on the technology transition for energy conservation. As you can see at the slide, Figure 7 shows the projected change in primary energy demand by fuel in 2019 to 2020. During pandemic 2019 till 2020, the demand of oil, coal, gas, and the nuclear power plant are declined, and for RE, the demand are increased up to 1%. This is the summary of this study. There are 5 main points. First, this study is intended to see some of the possibilities that will occur in the future and still require further refinement to make a more accurate prediction of the future. Second, the following study will develop the model to analyze the demand and the overall energy supply side. Third, during pandemic, the PSBB policy restrict community activities that limit economic activities, which in turn impacts decreasing energy demand. Fourth, the PSBB policy restricts community activities that limit economic activities, which in turn impacts decreasing energy demand. And the last, it is estimated that energy demand will increase under normal conditions or before the pandemic. For the conclusion, we can conclude restrictions of community activities will directly reduce energy demand. Electricity consumption will decline due to restricted activities. Decreasing energy demand will also have an impact on decreasing energy supply. This impact can be described as condition called VUCA, which stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. VUCA illustrates a complex and uncertain future that must be considered in making an inventory of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And for the end of this presentation, we recommended 2 things. 1, The government should review the policy based on special laws to use renewable energy, as Indonesia was not surprised by the future, even according to the simulation scenario for BAU, OPT, MOD, and PES. And the last one of the most effective ways is to accelerate the construction of power plants originating from renewable energy sources during the current pandemic. This condition is to take advantage of the RE condition to allocate more optimally to develop RE infrastructure. This is the reference that we use for this study. You can look more details from our paper. Well, that is all I have for my presentation, and on behalf of my team, I'd like to say thank you for your attention. For more information about this study, you can ask my supervisor through his email or WhatsApp. Thank you.